This week's episode of One of a Kind with RVD is presented by Get Blitzed, and you can get 15% off your order when you head to get-blitz.com and use promo code RVD. Get 15% off.
One of a Kind with Rob Van Dam is recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Okay, here we go. Wow, look at the sights and sounds at Universal Studios. What could be better?
Wanted to get your thoughts. We had a little clip pop up of you on social media way back when. You're interacting with Marilyn Monroe. I'll see if I can pop this up and we can get the sound going on it too. Hold on a second. So I'm going to pop this up here.
The Marilyn Monroe.
The Marilyn Monroe. Now you let me know if you hear the sound on there, Rob.
No sound.
No sound?
Nope.
Dude. I don't know if I can get it on here.
Silencio.
Silencio. Now you get okay. So I'll do the narrate. You're enjoying.
By the way, this reminds me. I saw Toni Storm did an interview and said she once had a 3-month affair with Stan Hansen.
Yeah,
I thought that was so funny.
yeah, and like the lariat, she was like laid on her back, and like it was like a different kind of lariat or something.
Gave me a lariat, and now we're them. That was funny.
Well, Rob, basically, you're just
go ahead. You do her voice. I'll do mine. Let's go through it.
Okay. You want to interact it? Let's see here.
Yeah, I'll be me.
Okay, we'll add it to stage again. Let me pop it back up. Dang it, I lost it.
And I'll be the Dynamite Express. The other tech.
Is that the other one? Okay, I gotta find it again. Hold on. Bear with us here, guys.
Team from IWF Universal Studios. Talking 1991, barely.
All right, you ready?
Yep. Okay, here we go. Wow, look at the sights and sounds at Universal Studios. What could be better?
Ooh.
Miss
Oh,
Miss Monroe. This is
Rob
Van Dam.
Oh, hello. So Rob, talk about that experience. When was this? You said 90?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was 19. I think it was just 91. I think it just turned 91. So, beginning of the year, I think I told this story on this podcast last week. It came up again though, so I told it twice last week. Do you remember me talking about being in the movies or being an actor? Like when I first got down to Florida, and I'm talking about this scenario, this whole day right here. I remember talking to Sabu, and I was like, well, let me back up a little bit because fans might find this interesting. So the topic was knowing who to listen to and being able to make the right decisions and having someone to give me advice. And so when I left the nest, and I'm down there in Florida by myself, as far as the family goes, I'm wrestling in Tampa, and Eddie Mansfield is running shows at Universal Studios in Orlando. Eddie Mansfield has a lot of heat. He's been blackballed from the business. He went on the 2020 show, the same show where David Stossel, the interviewer from
John Stossel, yeah,
that's John Stossel. I said David Hasselhoff. John Stossel got smacked.
Hasselhoff.
Yeah, yeah. You got smacked, David Waffle House. John Stossel got whacked. You think this is fake? Bam. Yeah. What about this? Bam. And he, sued. He said he permanently had ruptured eardrums. Blah blah blah. On that same episode, they talked to Eddie Mansfield, and Eddie Mansfield takes a razor blade, cuts himself, and says, "Red turns to green." And he's saying that means I get more money when I do this, and it was a very expose show. And because Eddie did that way back in the day, he didn't get booked anymore in the business. And so he was a bad word he was someone to stay away from. He was a leper and contagious as fuck. So when 20 years later, when he says he's running shows and he's booking young guys at Universal Studios, a lot of the wrestlers in the area, in fact, almost all of them, were afraid they would get blackballed if they worked for Eddie because of his reputation, and myself included. I remember meeting with them and having him pitch the whole thing to me. And I was like, damn, man, you know, it's TV too. He's got TV at the studios. Like, we all want to be on TV. This is 1991. So, you know, I'm still like brand new. I've been on South Atlantic TV already. I think that might be it. Well, I guess Memphis also. Well, I've been all over the place. Anyway, I was able to call the Sheik. And I said, man, you know, like, everyone's telling me not to work for Eddie because I'll get blackballed. No one will book me again. And so they're afraid, and they're not working for him either. I don't know what to do. And Sheik told me, gave me the same advice that he always did. He said, tell everyone to go fuck themselves. He said, you can work for Eddie. He's a friend of mine. He's a good guy. You know, tell him I said hello. Tell him to call me. And so I was like, wow, that makes it a lot easier when I still had him around. And so I did, you know, work for him. And I remember calling home one time, man, it's so awesome. Eddie puts the wrestlers in some of the TV productions that they have going on here. You know, Superboy, Swamp Thing. He says he's going to put me in shows. I did a thing with Marilyn Monroe today. Marilyn Monroe, like, look like a venue. It's just it's so cool down here. And Sabu was like, hey, fuck that. He goes, what are you? He goes, are you a wrestler or are you a movie star? I go, well, I mean, I want to be. What's wrong with fuck that? You're either a wrestler or you're a movie star, and you're a wrestler. So fuck that stuff. And I was like, yeah, but I like movies. I mean, that'd be awesome to be part of that or whatever. And he's like, well, whatever. You need to figure out what it is that you want to do with your life. He was pissed.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
interesting, huh?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So, like, did Sabu's thought process kind of change on that a little bit of later on? How, you know, because, you know, you see people make the jump over from there, and you see the kind of lines have been blurred now a little bit, and the curtain's been pulled back. I guess I'd have to ask Sabu, but maybe I wanted your perspective, if you know.
You know, we all have to have a different perspective as we go through life and look at everything from a different position. If we don't, then we're not growing if we don't see it from a different perspective. And I know he's proud of some of the stuff that I've done. But that was like an old school kind of, you know, thinking back then.
Yeah, absolutely. Right.
It was like us against the world, even actors.
Yeah.
And he never had any other interest that I know of. You know, I was always like, man, someday, you know, you're not gonna be able to keep wrestling. Your body's gonna break down or whatever, you know, acting, something like that. And, you know, he started realizing later, like, that'd be cool if he happened upon a side career like that. But as far as his passions and interests, that motherfucker, all he wanted to do was fill in all his off time with booking more matches the whole time I've known him.
How about that? That's awesome. Yeah. How did you like? What was your interaction like with Eddie Mansfield? Did you get along with him okay and everything?
I still do. Yeah, we're friends. Mm-hmm. We are friends. When me and Joe Clark made the movie Headstrong, my documentary that's on Amazon about my concussion symptoms, Eddie Mansfield ended up hooking us up with Arthur, who was a sales agent that hooked us up with Reels, the TV channel. And so we sold Headstrong to Reels. Eddie was part of that just like 2 years ago or whatever. So we still talk about possible business. You know, he had me read a movie script not too long ago for a possible job, and we do shit like that sometimes.
Oh, nice. Okay.